Hello and welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We are almost towards the end of week 13. It has been an exciting but frustrating weekend of fantasy football action, and we're about to dig into absolutely everything. We've got all the latest injury news coming up, especially Jimmy Garoppolo, Kenneth Walker III, and we'll start with the main man, Shug, Lamar Jackson. It's week to week with him. A huge blow for the Baltimore Ravens and all fantasy football owners of Lamar. Where do we go from here?
I mean, I don't think going to Tyler Huntley in your fantasy, I don't think it's the answer. To be honest, I think he's all right, but probably looking around the league for me, as you said, he's week to week, so you might want to keep him around and try and bring a backup in there. I'd be looking somebody like Jared Goff. I've had him before in my team. He can struggle for a bit of consistency, as the Lions have throughout the season, but and so would I put him at elite level? No, but he can. He's got the capability to get you big points. And looking at his schedule, it's all right until the end of the regular season. So Jared Goff would probably one if he's available in your league. Might be off a pickup for me.
Yeah, it's a knee injury, and Jackson was pretty much ruled out right away, and it was a huge blow for me, especially. And we'll get into that, and we'll get into why you are the jammiest or luckiest for anyone that's not Scottish watching fantasy football player I have ever come across.
Another win in the bank.
Fuck off. Now, in Jared Goff's case, you're bang on the money there. He scored 21.6 points this week, and he's up against Minnesota Vikings next week, who are a good team, but they're number 25 in points to the quarterback position. So for me, he could be a good pickup. Tyler Huntley is the obvious choice. I just don't know. Because it's the same thing I've been saying about Lamar Jackson. Unbelievable player, but really poor offense. They've just not got it going yet at all. In that sense, it's a difficult one for me. The other sort of guys that I look at around the league, Brock Purdy, will move on to him. Mike White is another one that is absolutely screaming out that should be picked up. But in Mike White's case, it's just the wrong week. They are up against the Buffalo Bills next week. Yeah. So although he's playing well and he's really got the offense going, he's lit a fire under them, I just don't know if Mike White's the pickup. At this point in the season, it's really difficult to pick up quarterbacks. They're really at a premium just now, given the injuries. And another guy we'll talk about, and they must be the most unlucky team in the NFL, the 49ers. After losing Trey Lance to a broken leg at the start of the season, they've now lost Jimmy Garoppolo for the season to a broken foot, which is going to require surgery. Mr. Irrelevant, the very last pick in this year's draft, comes in and does a good job, Brock Purdy. Do you see him as being a good pickup?
I think he done okay. He done okay. It was a big win for them at the weekend. I wouldn't really. I mean, as you say, I think they'll just rely heavily on CMC. No, I didn't. I think CMC looks as if he's playing through an injury just now. Hopefully he'll be all right, but I think they'll mainly just rely on him. For me, Brock Purdy, I think he'll do all right for them, but I wouldn't be hanging my hat on him, to be honest. And as you said, very unlucky for them. We were saying that 49ers were legitimate contenders now. And then after getting over the early blow in the season, this has happened to him again. So for me, Brock Purdy, I wouldn't be rushing to get him. I don't think he's the answer, to be honest with you.
Now, the only plus side I can see with him is that offense. It is unbelievable. You mentioned their CMC, who I thought looked brilliant yesterday, back to his best. Deebo Samuel again coming up trumps. Brandon Ayuk, slightly quiet, but the 49ers, like, you've got to feel sorry for them a wee bit in a way, considering how well that team has been built. Yet the injuries just keep stacking up and stacking up. I thought they were excellent again yesterday.
Yeah, excellent. A huge win for them, but again, it's overshadowed by losing another quarterback for me. As I said, you're right. CMC was done very, very well. Got a decent amount of points for me as well, but I do think the likes of him's carrying an injury, and it would just be their luck and my luck as well that another injury haunts them, kind of thing. But a big win for them. I just can't see them. I can't see them competing now.
Yeah, please don't talk to me about injuries and your luck. All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. But I look around, there's been a bit of movement in the league, and I don't know if we're going to maybe see a trade with the 49ers for quarterback position, because like you said there, like I don't know if they can hang their hat in the Brock Purdy. I, I know that today we seen the news that Baker Mayfield was released by the Panthers,
Mhm.
and that was on request from Baker Mayfield. Could we maybe see him turn up at the 49ers? I know they've signed Johnson, the veteran, who's now his 14th team in the NFL. So,
Yeah.
so is it possible we see Baker Mayfield turn up at the 49ers?
Yeah, I wouldn't be overly shocked. I think it's less a gamble than going with Brock Purdy until the end of the season. So I think they will maybe try and bring somebody else in. And they've got in it, you're never going to pick up a top quarterback at the top of his game right now. You're always going to have to just roll with dice, as we always say, take a chance if you're bringing somebody in. And it might be somebody who's way out of form or just needs to find a way. So probably Baker Mayfield falls into that category.
Yeah, and for me as well, when you think about Baker Mayfield, like start of the season, looked like he was just getting pushed out the door at the Browns, goes to the
Yeah,
Panthers. It's huge news considering they've already got Sam Darnold. Horrible team. They've had a horrible season. He's now sort of asked to be pushed out the door, and imagine that he ended up at the 49ers.
yeah,
They're going to be in the mix for the Super Bowl. It's funny how things like that happen in this league. We're
yeah,
not saying for 1 second he will, but there is a chance.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
So we'll
feel like
just see how
that
that
dumb.
one pans out.
I feel like that Dumb and Dumber meme. So you're saying there's a chance? Anyway, we'll move on. Another one that hurt me, and it's a massive blow for the Seahawks. There's been no real news on it yet. Kenneth Walker III left the game with what looks like a foot/ankle injury. Absolute huge blow. Now it looked like the backup DJ Dallas would just be ready to go straight in there. He
Mhm.
then pulls up with a foot injury, and the next
Yeah,
guy up's Tony Johnson. The ghost of Tony Johnson shows up, and then he goes out the game, and Dallas comes back in. It's a horrible situation at the 40. I'm talking too much, but the 49ers, the Seahawks, Shug.
yeah.
So you're looking right now in his day to day, and waivers are coming up on Wednesday. Who are you looking at running back wise to replace him?
I mean, it's hard because you're obviously going to have to take a chance. But for me, I think Walker will be okay. I would be sticking with him for the time being. As I said, there are other options out there, but I would probably be just sticking with him just now and just hoping that he can do the business for you. I don't know about you. Well, you think he's back in, or would you be trading? Because I don't think there is a lot out there. I think he'd be one that I'd stick by.
Yeah, I'm worried about this one. Like, I'll hold on to him. We
Mhm.
just don't know the forecast. We don't know the extent of the injury. He's still going through tests and nothing's been announced yet. But when you see them come out that sort of early doors and the news comes through pretty quick that they're out the game, they go for questionably out pretty quickly. It's never a good sign. In terms of Walker, he's been a superstar this year. He's probably carried my team a bit, but they fell off a cliff now. Um,
Yeah,
but when I look around the league, running back wise, man, just like the quarterbacks now, they're at an absolute premium. But it is one of the
no.
ones just sit back and see and just wait and see how it goes because I ca right off the bat I can't think. Maybe let me see. I've got one in mind. Maybe the running back. I'll tell you who I've got in mind. I
James
don't want to
Cook,
get his name
maybe
wrong. There is the very name I am looking for. James Cook
the
looked
Cookie
to get,
Monster.
yeah, a very similar snapshot to Singletary on Thursday
Yeah,
night's game. There's one that you could pick up, put him in potentially for a week or two, just to hold the fort. In terms of that Bills running back position, it's been up for grabs. Singletary's flashed, but he's never really been consistent. Is that fair?
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I've had Singletary all season, and there's weeks he usually puts me up decent enough points, into double figures anyway. But he's by no means a kind of set stick on there. I think Cook is probably a decent option. Most leagues he will be available in the waivers. He's probably one, as you said, there's not a lot of options, but Cook could be one you kind of take a wee chance on.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see how this one pans out. I hope there's news before Wednesday, but I'd be looking to pick up someone anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll move on as well. For anyone watching on YouTube Live, please make sure you're commenting and getting involved. Any injury dilemmas which we've not covered, send them across. But another guy I felt really sorry for, Shug, he's come back. He had a tough toe injury. He was in IR at the start of the season. Rookie Treylon Burks at the Tennessee Titans. What
Yeah.
a catch in the end zone. Then he's absolutely rocked and out the game with concussion. This is a huge blow for the Titans, isn't it?
Yeah, massive, as you said. He was flying recently, and this again's a setback. You know, it's not the old days where they just throw them back on and kind of get on with it. Concussion, they obviously take very seriously going through the protocols. He took a hard one there.
The way my
But
fantasy week went, I wish it was. It's a headache. Get back on, son. You're all right.
But a huge setback for him. Just never nice to see these ones.
I know. I'm looking at the Titans. For me, does Robert Woods even become the next guy up there?
I was looking at him. He's one that you maybe, again, he's one that you pick up. He's not one I hold great hopes for. He's always kind of kicking about the waivers. So, yep, with Buck's been out, he's maybe one you could take a wee chance on. He's not one I would get excited about having in your team, though.
He's been bang average there. He's not one that you're going to pick up and you're going to start consistently and he's going to hang about there. But nah, I'm looking around on the waivers. Bam Knight, a guy that we spoke about on Thursday night, had a good game yesterday as well. Jahan Dotson, there's another one we've already mentioned. James Cook. Anyone else that sticks out for you on waivers?
I think Corey Davis could be a decent shout.
Yes.
We're hooking in decent points as well. I think he could be a decent shout. The other one's Christian Watson. Now, I doubt, after I've kind of spoken about the last couple of weeks, I don't see him. You're getting too many leagues that haven't maybe had somebody have a go at him or try to take him. But I think those two could be ones that, if you can get, maybe decent shouts.
Yeah, I love that Davis shout. I think he had a great game yesterday. And like we said at the top of the show, Mike White's sort of lit a fire under the Jets and they've looked great, both defence and offence, and it's all happening at the right time for them, which is good. But Corey Davis, and look at how well Garrett Wilson's done as well since Mike White came back in. It's a perfect concoction there at the Jets. But we'll not hang around too long here. We'd just like to say a special thanks to our sponsors, G4 Claims. Not in the studio tonight, unfortunately, but we'll be back in there next week. But make sure to check them out for Not at Fault Claims, and you'll find them at notatfaultclaim.com. And we'd also like to say a special thanks to our other sponsor, which is manscaped.com. Producer David, we're going for super close-up for this one. I know you like this.
Give me a second.
I know you enjoy this. And the big man. Oh, here we go. So it's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favour and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and use code BoomerBus20 for free shipping and 20% off. Now, Shug, super zoom out. Shug, we can vouch for this. The products are fantastic, aren't they?
Superb.
They are, and I know Black Friday's just passed. It's what, sorry, mate?
I said, used it a couple of times myself. Feeling good?
It's good. We'll not go into too much detail, but I'm glad you can vouch for that. But now Christmas is fast approaching, folks. So I know Black Friday's just passed, but we've still got this deal for you. So make sure you're going to manscaped.com. Okay, and get 20% off and free shipping with the code BoomerBus20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code BoomerBus20. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays, and you can thank me later. So, Shug, I was going to ask you this question before the break, and I want to see if you can get it, and we'll leave it hanging for the comments, okay?
Yep.
I have. Okay. Who's the only ever player to score a touchdown and a home run on the same day?
Oh.
And this goes for the comments on YouTube. Let's see if anybody can get this. So, who's the only ever person to score a touchdown and a home run in the same day?
I actually have no idea, but Big Ben Roethlisberger keeps popping into my head.
He looks like he could hit a home run. He probably couldn't run the bases right enough.
I know, but I've got no idea. I'm racking my brain.
I'm looking for Toasty in the comments here, but there's nothing. The answer to this one is Deion Sanders. Now, the reason we go with this is Deion Sanders is the Colonel. He's very hot in the news right now because he's just been given the Colorado job. A huge player, a huge sort of personality of NFL pass, and he's still doing it, even in a coaching role. There's Toasty. Deion Sanders, yeah, right after I said it, mate. Well done.
Well done, Toasty.
I know. Later.
No, you didn't give him it for the delay. You might have actually got that in time.
Nah, we gave him nothing.
I am giving him nothing. Anyway, moving on. And before we go on to our Boomer Bus, right, and I want to say this, Shug. Me v you this week, we're battling it out for the playoff places. You are so lucky. You are so lucky.
Mate, let's just stick to facts. With all the bad weeks, just face up to it. You got 66 points. That is atrocious.
Right. 66
I've
points.
actually got one player left to play.
Right.
And I've won by what, 60 points. And I'm going to go with a guy that's not even signed with a team.
It'd be funny if you get deducted points for that. Nah,
I've actually changed it because integrity of the league. I've put him back.
I like that.
Integrity of the league. It makes me points.
So before kickoff, right, I had Joe Mixon missing. He was out with a concussion. Now, the average time to be missing with a concussion is 9 days, but this guy seems to think it takes over 2 weeks. Take a paracetamol and you'll be fine. Luckily, on my bench, I kept Jacoby Myers, right? He went out the game with 5.2 points with a concussion as well, so I'm probably going to be missing him next week. So, during the game, Lamar Jackson, lose him at the start of the game, 1.34 points, right? Next up, Kenneth Walker, 3.6 points. Next up, I've also got Cortland Sutton, 0 points. How can I compete?
Kieran's tears.
You can see my frustrations, man, but that is unbelievable. But no, any questions from the comments, producer David?
Got a couple of people being quite active, but I'm going to give it to the end of the show before I start bringing them all in.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go with that then. So, Shug, looking around the league, and although it had been a frustrating weekend, there was some unbelievable and entertaining games, and one guy that I just love to watch, absolutely love to watch, and it's Joe Burrow. Yesterday, played out his skin, and for me, producer David, I'd maybe rethink that picture there. The one time you get it wrong, man.
Listen, it's been a dash tonight.
Producer Dave, you're going to have to burrow your head in the sand.
But we'll get to that, David. Joe Burrow yesterday, he had 25 completions from 31 attempts, 286 passing yards, 46 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. He was unbelievable. And this is 3 out of 3 for Burrow versus Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's almost like nobody ever talks about Burrow when it comes to that upper tier of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Oh, there we go. That's the right man right there. 30 fantasy points is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
Great scoring for a quarterback, Shug. It took him a while to get going, and folk were in doubt, but never in doubt.
No,
Never in doubt now.
he's got a bit of everything. He's just one of those quarterbacks that seems to just take control of games. It's all down to him. It's not like I'm convinced he could make a very, very, very average offense look really good. He's just one of those that just takes control of the game, takes it by the scruff of the neck. He's entertaining to watch. And you're right. Sometimes for some reason he just gets missed out in that elite level, and he is 100% in that elite around about Patrick Holmes.
Yeah, and when you watch him, it's like it's not like he's forcing anything. Everything's relaxed. He's laid back. The wee teardrop passes into the end zone, shovel passes to the side. Nothing looks a problem to him. He just looks like he belongs in that upper echelon of quarterbacks. And for me, that's the reason why he's my boom for this week. Just unbelievable player to watch. Like, so entertaining. I've still not heard anybody talk about the Bengals being in with a shout for the Super Bowl this year. Look at that offense, man. Samaje Perine yesterday. If he's not rostered in your fantasy league, then there's something completely wrong there. Him and Tony Pollard, for me, 2 best RB2s in the league. And then you add to that mix T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Chase Young, Jamar Chase, sorry, I got mixed up with my chases there, and Joe Mixon.
We said it last week about Perine. We said you wouldn't rush people back from injury because he's been so good the last few weeks. And anybody that picked him up kind of on waivers or whatever, picked him up a good few weeks ago, must be laughing because Perine's became a great, great option for you. But you're right, the kind of sluggish start to the season, as they did last season, I think. Am I correct?
That's right, yeah. It's almost identical to how they went about it last season.
Took them a while to get going, but that's a huge win for them. And I quite like the noises coming out from them was like, it's just a win. We move on kind of thing. As you said, everyone was quite relaxed about them, but it's a huge win beating Mahomes and beating Kansas.
I know, but that is primetime stuff, as in Mahomes v Burrow. Just 2 of the best young mobile quarterbacks in the league, and you look what Burrow came back from. You just take your hand off to him. You just take your hat off to him, and that drop from Boyd. Imagine your fantasy games hanging in the balance, and you've started Tyler Boyd, the one in the end zone, just standing on his own. He could have probably crawled in and caught it, and it's hit him in the face mask and went straight through the hands. Like, see if that loses you your game, or you're burning Boyd tops.
Furious, isn't you? Aye, you're furious.
Absolutely. Anyone you absolutely loved this weekend?
Well, my usual one that I love, Tyreek Hill.
Now, I could have guessed. Are you going to get the tattoo or what?
Possibly. The cheetah again producing. Bad week for the Dolphins, but just this guy in a bad week. Tua had for once. Tua had an off week. The full offense looks a bit didn't really click.
Yeah.
But Hill still seemed to produce at the latter stage of the game and keep it as an entertaining game, keep them in it. So Tyreek Hill again, I just said 29.6 points. He's just been consistently excellent just now. He's sitting ranked at wide receiver 3, I think, just now. And I think he's got every chance he could finish as number 1. I think he's just got everything. He's delivered for Miami this year. And as I said, even on a bad day, he's still producing those points.
Yeah, to think we sat and questioned it in pre-season, probably everybody did. Would he be the Tyreek Hill of the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dolphins, given that there was still doubts over Tua? Now, we know that Tua has been excellent. But there's another one to watch quarterback-wise. It's maybe slid under the radar. Tua left the game late on yesterday, which I think it's an ankle injury. So there's one to watch. Also, Jalen Waddle picked up an injury in this game. Now, I know he went back into the game, but these are a couple to keep an eye on. The injuries are picking up now that the seasons are going on. So
Yeah.
it's a tough time in the season, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You're hopeful a lot of these ones, the kind of coaches are just going on a precautionary. They're just seeing that the playoffs are around the corner. When a game's either won or lost, if anybody's feeling anything, they get them off. You hope that's the case. You hope they're not too serious. You hope they're managing them for what would be an extensive for the playoffs end of the season when they need them to go. But you do worry every time somebody goes down with an injury. You worry it'll be a season ender or something that's really going to kind of cripple the season for the team.
Yeah, we've had a comment there. We've had a wee comment there from Roberto, and he has said, Tua and Waddle injured, please. So they rely on Mostert for week 14. Imagine wishing injury on someone. But I've got Jeff Wilson, so that would be great. I need something in my favour. If I never had bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck. But nah, there's a few I was hating on this week as well. And one guy, despise him, glad he had a horror show this week. No other than Deshaun Watson. And you called it, mate. You called it. The Shugsy curse is over. Deshaun Watson is my bust this week. And Shug called on Thursday night, you should be sitting Deshaun Watson. Now, a gentleman that goes nameless in our league started Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb. And what I says to him is, what if they have a bad game? Now, I know that the Browns are going to score 27, but you just chop someone's head off.
Just dropped into glass there. It was your tears.
But no, the combined Watson, Cooper and Chubb went for less points than the Browns defence scored. So it was good to see. Watson starting the game in the Texans where there was 24 accusers against him there. And I say accusers, we all know what went on. It was ruled, we'll not go into it too much, but it's good to see him absolutely crash and burn in his first game, especially in Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, for one, I'm happy to say I called this one correctly. I said he could be rusty. I said there's too much noise sort of surrounding him. Very difficult to come in this stage of season and turn it on. I'm thankful he's been poor again, and let's hope it continues. Let's hope he doesn't hit any form.
Yeah, 6.3 fantasy points. Very, very poor. And I'll read from a meme. This is quite dodgy here, but I'll read it anyway. That's what we're here for. It said he had 12 completions for 22 attempts, only 131 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the last bit basically says 0 women assaulted, which is a new career high. I'm going to get sued.
I actually think my starting from last week I should have done alright, so I could have been 2 for 2 last week for an absolute change. I don't think he's a nightmare. Christian Kirk, I think you've done okay.
I think you've done okay. Let's have a wee swatch at the stats here for Kirk this week. From what I've seen, he had a good game.
I don't think anybody booed him off the field, so it's an improvement.
Especially for the Jags. Christian Kirk yesterday, so he scored 16.4 points. You're taking that. Considering that the Jags only scored a total of 14 points, you're taking that 16.4 points. And that was his, let's see, best week since week 10. So, yeah, you're taking that. He's got the number 32 team against the wide receiver in the Tennessee Titans going into week 14. So, yeah, that's pretty good. But anyone you think had an absolute stinker this weekend, looking across to the Jags especially? I said they scored 14. Have you got your eye over there?
Yeah, again, we sort of called it last week. It was my team. Didn't really have a lot of options, but for me it was Zay Jones. We spoke about it. It was my boom maybe the week before. We spoke about he could have less less targets. We didn't really see him getting too much out of the game. So He's only put up 3.6 fantasy points. Was hoping for obviously better than that. He's not. He's one I'll probably be looking to get out of my team, to be honest.
We did say that last week when he was your boom in terms of he had that huge week, probably his best game in a Jags jersey. But we did say the inconsistency there just kind of puts him into that flex/bench spot.
Yeah.
Either week about when it comes to fantasy football, because he can't really be counted on now. I think you chose the best week to put him in because it won you your game. But this week, like I think you're spot on to go with him as your bust. But
yeah,
I'm going to go with a wee honourable mention here, and you're probably going to be disgusted. Cam Akers.
Yeah.
What have you got to say about that?
I heard about this guy yesterday. I heard his name mentioned a couple of times. It just disgusted me. But again, got to be fair. He had a good week.
Yep.
He had a good
17
week,
attempts for 60 yards. 17 attempts, that's where the sort of bracket you're looking at when it comes to running backs.
Yeah.
Average 3.5 yards per carry, 19 fantasy points. Now, that's quite good scoring. I've got Kyran Williams in my team, and I was hugely disappointed. But in terms of Akers, it's one to watch. Depleted Rams team, they've not really got much to play for at the moment. They're not going to do anything at this season.
Yeah.
Maybe a sneaky one to look out for guys that have Kenneth Walker and other guys around the league that have picked up injuries as a backup. I know you won't be taking him because we know what your history is like with Cam Akers.
No, I absolutely wouldn't be taking him. He's poisonous in the dressing room.
Nothing
One
to worry
week
about
doesn't
there.
change that for me.
Yeah, so we're getting plenty involved here. So make sure you're subscribing, guys. Make sure you're commenting. We'll get to the questions towards the end of the show. But anyone you'd like to give an honourable mention for, Shug?
Yeah, I'm going to go CMC. Again, he's produced the goods for me. He was struggling with injury last week. Brought in Mason just in case, but wasn't really required. McCaffrey came through the game, flying colours, big win for them. Obviously, they've had to rely heavily on him with the quarterback change, especially. I said it earlier. You could tell that he was struggling a bit of injury. It wasn't quite as explosive as he normally is. You could tell that it was something was bothering him a wee bit, but he still went and produced the goods again. I'm hopeful that his injury sort of eases off. He's back to full fitness, and rather than just kind of limp towards the rest of the season. But I had to give him my honourable mention. Another great week for him. And again, as I say every week, my two top players very much carry me at times.
Yeah, we in terms of McCaffrey, right? Producer Greg actually put me onto a podcast called Block Forever. It was brilliant. They interviewed Christian McCaffrey and they were asking him about fantasy football, and he's like, I like fantasy football, but he says it turns the most team game in the world into an individual sport.
Yeah,
and he's like, sometimes it's just too much. Like he said, 2 death threats and stuff like that from guys and. Like that podcast is definitely worth a listen. I listened to Juju's one today as well, and they were talking about. He was asked the question like, "Is it as intense when you're up in the face of like defenders and they're trash talking you?" And he said it's even worse in college. And like he was asked, "Did you do anything like that?" And he was saying, "Oh yeah, absolutely." He says like we'd be on Facebook and we'd be on Google trying to find like their girlfriends and all that, like doing our research for a trash talk. And he's like, we'd even DM them before the games. I can see you doing something like that.
No, but I actually remember at college, similar things would happen. You go to away games and they'd have all the teams' names, they'd have a bit of background info on you, and they'd be trying to give you a wee bit of insult. So I can certainly believe that back in the day that got done.
It's funny hearing that from a guy that's like absolute top of his sport, saying that I was DMing folk in college saying that I know what goes on in your private life. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Wait, I'm actually going to give one more honourable mention here, and I've been reminded in the comments by Toasty. Can we have a minute's applause? He's asking for Gary Pringle and Pringle's Pirates in the Division 2 of our Fantasy League. Now, Gary maybe doesn't get the coverage which he deserves, but before this week, Gary was 0-12 and he's just went and beat number 2 in his league to go 1-12. So,
Phenomenal.
Gary, we salute you, my man. Fantastic.
Standing.
I thought it was going to be the first ever 1-15, but now he's pulled it at the bag.
No, I know he's
making a late
popped.
run for. I can't stop. He's making a late run for the playoffs. So, Gary, we salute you, my man. Well done. And also, another few in the league, just guys that had unbelievable performances. AJ Brown at the Eagles, Shug. He is unbelievable, isn't he? Like, everyone thought, right, on draft day when he get traded from the Titans to the Eagles, like, how's this going to work out? How's it going to be? Is he going to be that superstar that we expected? And he's been even more, 31.9 fantasy points.
Yeah.
There was one in particular where there's been no separation between him and the defender, and he's still managed to pull it in. He is top five wide receiver for me. I don't know if he's as good as Hill, Diggs, or Jefferson, but he's certainly top 5.
Yeah, he's probably just under that category. Those absolute elite. He's up there though. Phenomenal, and I said he's part of the reason why the Eagles continue to pull out big results and big performances, and why they'll be a contender now.
Yes, I've got Devonta Smith, like, probably one of my only plus points yesterday. And every time I'm like, go to Smith, go to Smith, go to Smith. And it just seems to go to AJ Brown every time. But looking across as well, other huge performances. Amon-Ra St. Brown again. You touched on Jared Goff earlier as a potential backup quarterback in the case that Lamar Jackson's out, or that you were riding on Jimmy Garoppolo. St. Brown, having him in your team makes Jared Goff fantasy relevant. He's 129.1 fantasy points for the season, playing absolute lights out. Spoke about top 5 wide receivers. I don't know if he's in there. Top 10 for me, but certainly one of the best. It would have been a later round pickup in most drafts this year. And if you've got him in your team, you're delighted, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, similar to what I said about Goff, maybe lacking the wee bit of consistency, but when they're on it, the Lions. And he's, as I said, him and Goff, they combine ridiculous this week, 34.6 points. That's tremendous. So he's one you're really loving this week.
Yeah, and last one I'm going to mention here, and believe it or not, right, folk might not believe this, he has sat on the bench for the past 4 weeks in our fantasy league. Christian Watson. This week, he became only the second ever rookie to Randy Moss to score 8 touchdowns as a wide receiver in 4 games. He is on fire, isn't he, Shug? And I actually seen someone doing a TikTok yesterday about how Watson was a safe bet for a touchdown yesterday if you were going to sort of put an accumulator on, and he comes up trumps again.
Yeah.
Now, he's a playoff winner, isn't he?
Absolutely. Whose bench is he on?
Martin's, 4th week in a row.
Martin's. What is he doing? I mean, we've been speaking about Watson on here the last couple of weeks, saying how he's the one that's, igniting that Packers offense. And you've got I don't know why he's still on the bench there. We said he's probably the most reliable one there. Why would you start him? That's why Martin's down at the bottom.
That's it. 24.4 fantasy points for Watson yesterday. For me, it's took a while for the Packers to figure out that he's the man, given that there was injuries to Romeo Doubs. We also thought Alan Lazard would be the man. So Tosi makes a great point in the comments there. Martin has never started Christian Watson since he got him, and that's 66.5 points over over 3 of the weeks. It's insane.
That's madness. And to think, I would have happily given Lazard for him.
I know.
And I'm starting Lazard a lot of time.
Well, there you go. And Lazard's been quite consistent for you, but
again, Lazard at the weekend, 11.7 points for me. So, as you said, Watson ranks well above him in the pecking order now, but Lazard still usually gets me decent points. He's one of those kind of frustrating ones where you're not sure whether or not to put in your starting team.
Yeah,
he's probably less risky than some of the ones I've maybe got or I might want to throw in, but he can be a frustrating one. He's right on the kind of edge of whether you should or shouldn't start him.
yeah, he's a steady Eddie, averaging around 10 points every week, unless he has a huge week.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with injuries and you've got him now, you're playing him, and that's it.
Yeah.
But before we finish up with a game, like, keep the questions coming in the comments. We're going to answer a few now. If we can get a few up on the screen. Let's see what we've got, Shug. So, coming in the comments here, we have, with Fournette looking to be back, do you think Rashad White keeps the running back one position? Fantasy app doesn't seem to think so. Still projecting Fournette double the points of White.
I like Fournette. I think he does go back into RB1 position for me. So I'd probably agree with the projections there.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you as well. I think in terms of Rashad White, he's done brilliant. He's started to see a lot more on the field. But this all happened when Fournette's rib injury started to come about. There was a passport issue with going to Munich, if I remember correctly. And now it looks like he's going to come back into the fold. So if we remember back to the season where the Bucks were successful with the Super Bowl, Super Bowl Lenny, playoff Lenny, he seemed to turn it on at this point in the season. So he has got a history of turning up when it's really needed. And for me, it depends how much you're struggling, but I wouldn't be taking the risk at this point in the season with sort of the playoffs just round the corner in fantasy football. So for me, just chill a wee bit on Rashad White, only use him if you really need to. I could be wrong here, but I still imagine Fournette scores more points than him.
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money. I think if it's early in the season, they probably look to ease Fournette back in, maybe. They stick with Rashad White, but now I think this stage of season, as you said, it comes to crunch time. They want Fournette up and running again. They want him finding a few games before it goes into playoffs. So, yeah, I think Fournette gets in that RB1 slot.
He gets the nod. And we've got one more question from the comments. No other than Jamie. Shug, where can I buy bottles of Kyran's Tears?
Absolutely priceless, my friend.
Well, out of the three of us, me, myself, you, and your man that's just commented there, only one of us actually got a win this weekend, so I think you should pipe down for now.
Yeah. Only one of us is a championship ring too.
That's it, and it's probably classic that your Drew's going to roll him up in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hope so.
Anyway, thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Please make sure you're subscribing to us. The numbers really make a difference. And also for anyone listening via podcast, make sure you're subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. We're on socials at Boomer Bust Pod as well. So thank you very much for everyone that's watched so far. We're going to finish off with a game. Shug, you're in the hot seat for the game this week. What have you got for me?
Yep, I've got a few Calvin Riddlers here for you. Three of them, they're thrown together. I must say they're thrown together. There's a bit of reachers on them, but the first one, let's get right into it. The first one is Razor from Ayrshire.
Razor from Ayrshire. Ramon. St. Brown?
Nah.
No. I'm thinking Razor Ramon. Razor Sharp. No.
No.
Blade. Razor Ayrshire. This is tough, man. Am I far off it? Miles off it? Ruddock?
Think your places in Ayrshire.
Places. Ayrshire Larks.
Nah. Maybe a
Beef.
top end.
Kelly?
Nah.
Stevenson. I've got this. Ramondre Stevenson. Razor
Toasty was all over that one, by the way.
Right.
Razor Ramondre.
Next one.
That might be my favourite yet.
When all that's left to choose is Asda clothes.
All that's left to choose is Asda clothes. So it's going to be something George. George. Who's got a second name? George. When all that's left to choose, so you've got no choice.
Think of the
No
word.
choice, George.
Nah.
When all that's left to choose. Right, so as their clothes is George. So who's got a second name? George. Got a brain freeze. Give me a clue.
First name George.
Yeah, first name George.
Right. Who calls
Think
their
of the
rain
wording.
George?
Think of the wording. Wait, think of the wording of yours. Go through it word by word and see what could be a key word and what could be a word that I could go with that.
When all that's left to choose. George. Oh,
What
I'm
would you
not
do?
getting this, man.
What would you do if you choose something?
I've got it. Little. George Kittle.
Nah.
No? Oh, God. George.
What do you do?
I'm not
Choose.
getting
What's
this.
another word for choose?
Roberto's got this one in the
Pick.
comments, all over this.
George Pick. Oh, George Pickens.
Yes.
And last
the
but
last
not
one
least.
The last one's a very tough one to get. I'd never heard of this
No,
guy.
it's not.
A friend of Chandler, not to be trusted.
So it's going to be Joey. Joey Bosa.
Nah. Not to be trusted.
Joey Sly.
Joey Sly. Yes. Tremendous.
Tremendous. Absolutely brilliant. But no, Shug, another week in the bag. We look forward to next week. It's coming up crunch time, week 14. You'll be sitting pretty. How are you feeling?
I'm sitting well. I think that one was a big one. I think probably one more. Toasty can maybe confirm for us from our league what I need to do to confirm a place in the playoffs. But I would say probably one more win will just about get us there. So I'm feeling good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in big trouble. I'm sitting ninth at the moment. I think I'm going to have to win my next two games. I'm already getting it tight in the comments here. Listen, it's not over till it's over, and I've proven that plenty of times. But just need to knuckle down.
It's been exciting in the league. It's been exciting in the league. It's so tight because we've done the bottom three go down. It's so tight. He said there's probably about 5 on the same, roughly about the same, isn't it?
That's right. We've got a few 7 and 6s, a few 6s and 7s. It's going to go right to the wire, but that's what it's about, isn't it? We're in it to enjoy it, a bit of competitiveness. I'll need to actually get the money in. That's a bit of a bugbear. But no. Also, a big thank you to producer David. He's had a horrendous day today, and he's put all this together at the last minutes. As ever, the graphics have been tremendous. The full show, the full shebang is all down to him. So, Shug, big round of applause for the main man. And as we say, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.